Most people think trauma just makes you fragile, but for many of us, it makes us furious. You can see it all around. When you get mistreated by others, it can leave you convinced that you're always the one who's overlooked, cheated, left out, threatened, judged. So you get hardened, or you get sarcastic, or icy, or vicious. This isn't just your personality, it's a trauma-driven habit, bracing against rejection before anyone's even rejected you. So you stay on guard, you keep score, you wear armor that once kept you safe, but now it's cutting you off from the very connection and ability to reason that you've been starving for. This is a trauma symptom too, and it shows up as habits you don't even notice. They sneak in, habits that feel protective, but that actually wreck your life. When you grow up unseen, dismissed, shamed, yelled at, you learn to fight your way through, and you tell yourself, I don't need anyone. They wouldn't want me anyway. People are terrible, in fact. They're idiots, and I will never, ever trust them. There are such people, hateful people, and contact with them can be so toxic, the wounded part of you misinterprets their cruelty as everyone's cruelty. You can mistake a mere point of view with abuse, but thoughts, opinions, and words are not abuse. You need to learn to recognize the difference so that you don't fall into these hidden trauma habits that feel like protection, but that actually leave you vulnerable to control and manipulation in a very bad way, and that wall you off from the loving connections that everyone needs just to be okay, just to maintain perspective on what is actually safe, what is okay, what is a threat. Now, what does it mean when someone mistreats you, and how can you keep that from coloring and limiting your whole world? Well, you don't give up. You don't stop trying. Don't fall into isolation that can leave you in grief and anger with no way to resolve it. Because that kind of being stuck with that much negativity can corrupt you. It can turn you into the very kind of person who hurt you in the first place. It bugs me when people paint trauma as something that just makes us all frail and childlike and anxious. I mean, it can, but those are just one aspect of how trauma manifests. It's a root cause that can push us to further re-traumatize ourselves. Trauma wounds can make us arrogant, defensive, angry, and even violent. That need to belong and fit in is so strong. And when we feel like people have taken that away from us, and that is sometimes exactly what some people have done, we can lose sight of the fact that this is not everyone, and we are the ones who can redirect our lives away from harm and toward a constructive and connected and happy life. Now, of course, it doesn't happen overnight, but one strong action in the right direction can radically change your life for the better right now. And here's the trap. The more you defend yourself, especially if you go into attack mode on yourself or others, the more you recreate the very thing you hate. You keep people at arm's length, even the ones you think you approve of or you believe they approve of you, but then you blame them for not coming closer. You fall into self-defeating behaviors. We all have those. It's part of human nature, but it's very easy when you're in a trauma-activated state to fall into yours. If you want to see my list of the most common self-defeating behaviors that I see in traumatized people, I have a PDF. It's free. I list them. You might get some insight from it. You can get your own copy by clicking the link. I'll put it in the top line of the description section below this video. You don't heal by being right. You heal by doing something different. So what can you do? These aren't tips for someday. These are lenses that you can put on right now as a way of viewing things that are confusing or sort of in progress. You don't really know where things are going. But when your self-defeating behavior, your trauma-driven habit is showing up, here's what you can do. One is when you're assuming that people are looking down on you, and it makes you combative. You walk into every situation like it's already a fight, and your posture will say, I know you think I'm less, so I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to prove myself or take you down. And instead of assuming contempt for other people, what you can do instead is assume neutrality. Most people aren't thinking about you at all. Let them show you who they are before you waste any energy defending yourself. 2, you say you're not bitter. You're just realistic. You're covering anger with sarcasm or shrugging, like whatever, or icy silence. And it feels intelligent or tough. And on social media, you may get likes from other icy, sarcastic, hostile people. And for a minute, it will make you feel included and validated and powerful. But in real life, people with a heart, they can feel contempt. That's what's driving that contempt. Contempt is never a good thing. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to express yourself, and it's okay to care. To care is to feel hurt by that. Let it be obvious that you care, because that's what's sort of missing sometimes when people have fallen into contempt and they're lashing out. It looks like they don't care. That vibration of caring, it's definitely suppressed when that emotional dysregulation is going on. And there's no strength in pretending that you're above everyone. No one is. Nothing is to be gained by tearing other people down. Bitter detachment is still attachment, only it's hidden and it's twisted. All right, the third thing is you rehearse imaginary arguments. Who doesn't do that, right? But instead of reaching out to people, you're just working up this whole case against them in your mind. It's poisonous for your own mind. You script a whole conversation in your head, the accusations, the comebacks, the verdict, the righteous feeling that you'll get that feels like it's going to just be so freeing or finally give you peace. By the end, though, you've already decided that the other person is hopeless, no damn good. You need to recognize that these rehearsals are a fantasy. They're not connection. They're a very negative fantasy. They're your trauma-driven thinking shaping your reality, which they can do. You can't resolve anything with a character in your mind. If you really are prepared to tear somebody apart publicly, at least take the time to listen to what that person has said so you can critique it, rather than just jumping on some sort of chain of memes and hate and, claims about somebody. It's so unfair. As a person who's on YouTube, I've seen it done to me, and let me tell you, it feels like shit. It's really unfair. And the people who do it, I couldn't think less of them. It's weak. It's purely toxic behavior. And it leads to nothing good. So either let the matter drop or accept that the only way forward is with the actual person or, statements that the actual person has made in a full context. Take your time with that one. When you tear somebody down publicly, carelessly for clicks or approval, you're veering into a very negative thing that's called calumny, which is actually just like knowing something's not true. And most of us have enough education and training in critical thinking, it seems like none, to know that it's not fair to just jump on and stop trying to destroy somebody's reputation before you've heard them out. So number 4 is you build your whole identity around being the person who's hurt. Your suffering, which is real, but it becomes your whole introduction. Here's who I am. Hey. Your story becomes your proof of your worth, and your pain becomes your credential. So what you can do is refuse to make your trauma your entire personality. Trauma is something that somebody else did to you. Yeah, it's their thing. It does not define you. It's not who you are. Underneath what happened to you, there is this pure, innocent person who is needing that chance to come out and develop themselves and to learn the difference between, discussion and attack and caring and controlling. And these things can get entirely confused if you grew up in an abusive family. Where would you have learned this? You're not necessarily going to learn this at school. So if you didn't get it at home and you don't get it in school, you're going to have to seek it out. You're going to have to be the person you're waiting for to come rescue you from this miserable circling, trap of, trying to get out of feeling so bad and then just sort of falling back into it. It's a terrible thing. I've certainly been there. That used to be a huge part of my life, is tearing other people down. You're not here to win the prize for the most wounded person. Don't win that prize. None of us is that person, but it's not a prize. It's nothing to covet. So choose in the moment just to let curiosity or kindness speak louder than your history. Let the lovely parts of you and the way they shine on other people be the main thing about you. Number 5, this is like the trauma-driven habit. It's assuming that every bad feeling is someone else's fault. Sometimes it is, okay. You wake up tense, tired, anxious, and immediately your brain just wants to scan the horizon like, who did this to me? They must have triggered this. And somebody always ends up carrying the blame, right? So stop searching for a culprit. Just feelings exist without villains a lot of the time. It's a legacy. It's residue. It's like a scab from the wounds of trauma. It's just, you get these negative feelings and they echo and they echo. And when we start blaming the people who are in our lives right now, that's one of the number one ways that traumatized people ruin relationships. So hold on with that thought. Hold on. If you're having that intense feeling, notice that the pain is sometimes aggravated by this very human part of ourselves that loops. The looping thoughts, repetitive rumination, going over and over something that hurt you or made you angry. That's, when it's going over and over, it's not actually helping you get insight on it. It's not helping you take constructive action. So we need to face and be rid of looping thoughts that are just junk generated by stress and pain and trauma. The pain is real. But the loop is actually sort of an injury on your nervous system that has a hard time processing thoughts and feelings. They get very jammed up in there. So it feels like all this stuff is happening at the same time. And a current, something happening like right now to you will all of a sudden sort of pick up all the weight of something that happened to you in the past. And it's very hard when that's happening to tell the difference. And the best way to not do that is to keep cleansing your mind, refreshing it, releasing the stress thoughts. When I say release, it doesn't mean you're abandoning yourself. It doesn't mean you're abolishing lucid thought or, even anger. It's that you're releasing it right now so that you have room to think and reason. And soon enough, the thoughts and feelings that are needed will sort of fall into place. And when you're angry, it's usually a call to action for yourself. You need to defend yourself or speak up or get out of there. There's an action there to be taken. When it's just like looping and pressing you down, you can't do any of those things. So it's right to have feelings. That's okay. You're endowed, though, with the inner power to choose what you will do with that. You can stand up and express yourself. You can pause and reflect, or you can release the chaos in your mind and give your nervous system and your cognition and your emotions, your impulses, to lash out or act, give them a chance to rest and recalibrate and respond in a sane and lucid way with wisdom. You can ask for help in that state. You can seek advice and hear it. You can take time to research or just shake it off. A lot of the time, I'd say 80% of the stuff that gets stuck in my mind, it just needs to be released. It never really comes back. It's just junk. I've already, whatever there is to be done about it, I've done it or I don't care anymore. And then there's about 20% left that I do need to focus on and care about. But when your actions are driven by the noisy, spiky, vicious, reckless response to pain and hurt, you will tend to make the inner chaos worse, and nothing good comes of that. This is where self-defeating behaviors find that, fertile medium they need to grow toxic and harmful for you. And all the good things that you want in life will be blocked. You can do something to release that inner chaos right now in any situation. And I learned this when I was 30 years old, long time ago, and it saved my life. Without a doubt, I was in a very, very bad place. I was in therapy 3 times a week, and it was making me feel worse, not better. I was seeing a doctor. It was making me feel worse, not better. I felt hopeless about myself. I felt abandoned by everyone. And then this woman, an acquaintance, I barely knew her. She didn't even know me well enough to abandon me, but she just happened to, I told her how bad I felt. I was giving her a ride, and she offered to show me a technique that she had used to come out of some very bad times herself. And she was continuing to use every day. She still does, actually. She's still my friend after all these years. And she showed me this technique to get all of that out of my head. And it was so simple, you'd never expect it to work. A lot of what I had been doing to try to feel better was actually like sort of focusing on what was in my head, talking about it, analyzing it. She showed me how to get it out. And I call this my daily practice. I can teach you how to do it in less than an hour. And if you want to learn it, you can just go down to the description section below this video. I'll put that link to the daily practice in the second line. It's like right below this video. There's a little thing. It's the description section. There's even more links in there if you click the more button. So maybe you can see right now under the video, do you see that? Where there's a link. In the top one, you're going to see my self-defeating behaviors list, right? In the second one, you're going to see this daily practice. It's a free course, and if you sign up for it, I'll send you invitations to free Zoom calls with me. I do them regularly, where we all do the technique together, and then I answer questions. It's my favorite part of my life, is working with other people and helping them learn this life-saving technique that's so simple and free to use. My whole goal in life is to give anyone who needs help a chance to try this. If it's not for you, no problem, right? No harm done. It tends to be compatible, though, with whatever your existing approach to healing is, and with, whatever your belief system may be. It's very neutral. It's just, it's just a tool. It's more, though, than just stress relief. It's a way to relax those looping, horrible thoughts and feelings that take up all the space and all the oxygen in your mind. It's like a tapeworm, just taking all your vitamins. You can't think, your feelings are still confused, and you're stuck in the trauma without this. So when you can release all that, it's like you're opening a window in a stuffy room. Fresh air comes in. Something new can rise up in your mind and inspire you. You get an idea. Something real can come into your heart, and your connections to others can reawaken. You begin to feel something, and then it gets stronger. So you're no longer alone when you have this release. Your ability to connect appears. You're no longer in constant self-criticism. That's going on the paper. That's a resentful thought. You're no longer engaged in attack against yourself or against other people who you can't even see, through these stressful thoughts. When this all quiets down, compassion comes in. It's very natural. That's part of you too. Wisdom comes in. Sane action begins to flow through your life. Your mind is clear. You're able to see your next step. And when you can do this every day, twice a day, I'm telling you, things get better quickly. This daily practice can help you move out of a stuck and bitter and hopeless place, thinking the same old thoughts, falling back down the rabbit hole, and instead going in the opposite direction, finding a sense of relief, which is very sweet. When you're desperate for a little relief from the pain, it's a very nice thing to have peace inside. So step by step, you can go into a better place, a place where you're blossoming as your full and real self. You can bring light, you can bring strength to the people who come into your life, who come in contact with you, instead of, just like trouble and stress and more criticism on them. Now, when I say this, do you recognize it? Now, when I talk about this feeling of sweetness and light, do you recognize it as something, the very thing that's been calling to you? It's almost so quiet, like you're meant to have something better than what you have right now. But can you recognize it? It's just, it's very hard to hear with the noise. When you have a little more peace, it's like, there it is. And it pulls you towards something higher for you, something that is real, something that is tangible. You don't have to go into fantasy to feel better. Things actually get better. It's what you're made for. And the daily practice is a simple tool that anyone can use to release the mental chaos and sense the sweet healing power underneath the noise and chaos of all the conflict and division that's been traumatizing you. And with even just a little peace while you rest in these techniques, that healing can find you and it can guide you. You felt cut off from it. I know, like most people are, but it's right here. It's closer to you than your own heartbeat. If you like this video, I've got one that you're going to love right here, and I'll see you very soon. Dysregulation gets activated when you're confronted with stressors and crises. And remember, it can suppress your ability to reason while it also amps up your emotions. So you see how this explains so much why those of us with childhood PTSD appear to keep making the same bad choices over and over